Beneath the frozen darkness of the Arctic, where the sun disappears for months and the water cuts like glass, a shadow moves. Slow, silent, ancient. A creature that glides through black waters as if time itself has forgotten it. This is no ordinary predator. Its eyes are clouded with parasites. Its flesh carries toxins that could kill those who eat it. It does not rush, does not chase, does not need to. For this is a hunter that measures its life not in years, but in centuries. The Greenland shark, an animal older than the cities we live in, older than the nations we swear allegiance to, older even than the revolutions that shaped the modern world. Some alive today were already swimming when Shakespeare put pen to paper, when Galileo lifted his telescope, when ships of explorers first crossed into the icy Atlantic. It moves at the pace of glaciers, outliving everything around it. To see one is to look into the face of time itself, an eye that has watched 4 centuries pass, an immortal shadow beneath the ice, far beneath the drifting icebergs of the North Atlantic, in waters so cold that most creatures cannot survive. The Greenland shark moves with glacial patience. Its body stretches over 5 meters, yet it glides as though half asleep, each beat of its tail sending it forward by inches. It is not in a hurry. It has never been in a hurry. For centuries, sailors whispered of a monster lurking in Arctic waters, a sluggish beast that appeared when the sea was still, a giant that seemed half dead, yet alive. Its eyes, pale and milky, seemed to see nothing. Parasites, long, thread-like worms, hang from them, writhing like ghostly banners. And yet, despite its blindness, despite its slowness, the shark hunts. How? It drifts close to seals sleeping on the surface of ice, or to fish that mistake its stillness for safety. Then, with a sudden lunge, the predator reveals its secret. Patience is a weapon, but its hunting style is not the strangest thing about it. The Greenland shark is a paradox of time. Scientists who studied its tissues discovered something almost unthinkable. This shark does not just live long, it lives longer than any vertebrate on Earth. 400 years, perhaps more. A life that outlasts empires, wars, entire civilizations. Imagine a shark born when Galileo first looked at the stars, still swimming today. Imagine a shark born in the age of wooden ships, still gliding beneath melting ice caps in the 21st century. Its flesh carries the centuries like scars. It remembers, even if we do not. And what it carries in its body is not only age, but mystery. Its flesh is poisonous, laced with toxins that can make a human stagger, hallucinate, collapse. In Greenland, stories are told of dogs that ate shark meat and wandered the ice as if drunk, their eyes wild, their steps unsteady. To eat the shark is to taste madness itself. It is a creature out of time, immortal, poisonous, half-blind, a relic of oceans older than our history. And yet, it still glides beneath the ice, unseen, unbothered, unmeasured by the ticking of human clocks. For centuries, the Greenland shark was a mystery, drifting under the ice. Sailors spoke of it in whispers, hunters avoided its meat, and biologists filed it away as just another cold-water predator. It was not until the 21st century that the truth began to surface. Truth hidden not in its teeth, nor in its flesh, but in its eyes. Every living thing carries a record of time within it. Trees write it in rings, rocks record it in layers. For the Greenland shark, the secret was sealed in the lens of the eye. Deep inside the eye's core, proteins form during youth and remain unchanged for the rest of the animal's life, untouched by renewal. These proteins become a time capsule, locked in darkness, preserving the moment of birth. Scientists extracted those lenses and turned to a tool more often used in ancient ruins than in living animals: radiocarbon dating. The test revealed something astonishing. The youngest sharks tested were already older than most human lifetimes. The oldest, nearly 4 centuries. One female was estimated at around 392 years old, give or take decades. Born in the early 1600s, while Shakespeare was still writing, she was still alive, gliding beneath the Arctic ice when her age was finally measured. The world gasped. A living animal older than Newton's theories, older than the United States, older than the Industrial Revolution itself. A creature that had seen the world change without ever leaving the cold silence of its seas. But age is not kindness. The Greenland shark carries the weight of its centuries in strange ways. It grows slowly, just a centimeter a year. It reaches sexual maturity not at 10 or 20, but closer to 150 years of age. For centuries, it drifts as a juvenile, waiting in the dark, until finally its body ripens into adulthood. A timeline beyond our comprehension, as if the shark itself had stepped outside the rules of life and death. Scientists called it the longest-lived vertebrate ever discovered. But to the shark, there was nothing remarkable in this. Time, for it, was no miracle. It was simply the water it swam through, the endless current carrying it forward, while humans raced and burned above the waves. Long before scientists peered into its eyes to measure centuries, the Greenland shark lived as a shadow in human imagination. The Inuit called it Ekalusuak, a presence both feared and respected, a creature of silence that haunted the deep fjords. To them, the shark was more than flesh and bone. It was an omen. Stories spread of its appetite. Sailors swore the Greenland shark would devour anything. Seals, fish, carrion drifting under the ice. Some tales spoke of reindeer that wandered too close to frozen shorelines, vanishing into black waters only to be found later, half digested in the belly of a shark. There were even whispers of horses, entire carcasses swallowed by the patient jaws of this ancient predator. But the strangest tales came not from what it ate, but what it gave back. Its flesh, laced with toxins, was said to drive men mad. Dogs that ate the meat staggered across the ice, foaming at the mouth, their eyes glassy and unfocused. Hunters told of visions, hallucinations, and drunken staggering caused by a single meal. Some even believed the shark carried spirits in its flesh, spirits that could crawl into the minds of those foolish enough to eat it. Yet, in the harshest winters, when food was scarce, the Inuit learned a dangerous craft. They buried the shark's meat underground, let it ferment for weeks, and leached out the poison. What emerged was edible, though the taste was said to sting the tongue and burn the throat. This dish, hakarl, survives in Icelandic tradition to this day, a relic of survival carved from danger. To eat it is to taste both history and fear, and so the Greenland shark became more than an animal. It was a symbol. To the Inuit, it was endurance itself, an immortal shadow that outlasted men, dogs, even the coldest winters. To sailors, it was a nightmare that lurked beneath the still waters, slow but relentless, capable of outliving entire generations of those who told its tale. Legends grew because the shark itself was rarely seen. Its world was the deep, the frozen dark, where light never pierced, and in that absence of light, imagination thrived. Some called it the sleeper shark because of its sluggish pace, as though it drifted between life and dream. But perhaps it was not sleep at all. Perhaps it was patience, the kind of patience only a creature that lives for centuries can afford. Behind every legend, there's often a kernel of truth. For centuries, the Inuit told of dogs staggering drunkenly after eating the flesh of the Greenland shark, their steps unsteady, their eyes wild. Sailors described men who tasted its meat and slipped into confusion, stumbling as though drunk on something darker than alcohol. Science revealed the culprit: trimethylamine oxide, a compound the shark carries in its tissues. In most fish, this chemical stabilizes proteins under pressure, but in the Greenland shark, it accumulates to staggering levels, a shield against the crushing cold of Arctic waters. When eaten, trimethylamine oxide breaks down into trimethylamine, a substance that interferes with the nervous system. The result is a strange intoxication, hallucinations, loss of balance, disorientation. To consume the shark fresh is to taste poison. Yet humans, ever stubborn in the face of hunger, found a way. In Iceland, the meat was buried in gravel, pressed with stones, left to ferment for months until the toxins seeped away. The result became hakarl, a dish infamous for its pungent stench, ammonia sharpness that burns the nostrils, flesh that feels alien on the tongue. To outsiders, it is revolting. To those who survived the Arctic's cruelty, it was life itself. The shark's body, then, is both gift and curse, a fortress of toxins that protects it from predators, but also weaves it into human culture as both danger and sustenance. Its poison is part of its myth, part of its legend, and part of the reason it has drifted through the centuries unchallenged by hunters. Even now, scientists who handle it wear gloves, wary of its silent chemistry. The Greenland shark is not only ancient in years, it carries within its flesh the wisdom of survival, a biochemical strategy honed by centuries in the frozen dark. The Greenland shark is a paradox of motion. It is a predator, yet it swims slower than most prey. Its pace is almost dreamlike, less than 2 kilometers an hour, a shadow drifting with the current. To see one move is to wonder how it could ever catch anything. And yet, it does. Its strategy is patience, a seal sleeping too long on the ice, a fish drifting in the gloom, even a carcass sinking from the surface. All become prey when time itself is your weapon. The shark does not need to chase. It only needs to wait. This patience extends beyond the hunt. The Greenland shark grows at a rate of barely a centimeter a year. At 5 meters long, it is a testament to time carved into flesh. And perhaps the strangest truth of all, it does not reach sexual maturity until it is more than a century and a half old. While humans live entire lives, raise families, and vanish into memory, the shark drifts in youth, waiting, silent, untouched by urgency. Only after 150 years does it breed. Imagine a creature older than the founding of your nation, older than every ancestor you can name, still lingering in adolescence. It is as though the shark is not bound by the same calendar that governs us. For it, a century is not a lifetime. It is only childhood. Scientists believe this slow rhythm is the key to its longevity. In the freezing Arctic waters, metabolism slows to a crawl. Cells divide less often, damage accumulates more slowly, and time stretches like ice across the sea. The Greenland shark is not immortal, but it is as close to timeless as life can come. It is a reminder that survival does not always belong to the fast, the fierce, or the furious. Sometimes it belongs to the patient, to those who let centuries pass like seasons, drifting in the dark while the world above burns itself out. For centuries, the Greenland shark endured untouched by time. It outlived kings, revolutions, and wars. It swam beneath ice that seemed eternal, but even immortals can be wounded. And in our age, the shadow of humanity has reached even into the coldest seas. The first threat is the most obvious: bycatch. Though no one hunts the shark deliberately for food, its toxic flesh makes it nearly inedible. Thousands have been caught in nets meant for other fish. Dragged from the depths, their slow-moving bodies cannot escape. For a creature that takes 150 years to reach maturity, every death is not just a loss, but a stolen century. The second threat is climate change. The Arctic ice that once sheltered the shark is melting. Waters are warming, currents shift, ecosystems collapse, and new predators and competitors push north. The shark has survived unchanged for hundreds of years, but it has never faced a world transformed this quickly. And there is another quieter danger: curiosity. The very qualities that make it extraordinary, its longevity, its strange biology, make it a target for research. Tissue samples, eye lenses, genetic sequencing. Each is valuable, each a key to understanding aging, resilience, survival. but each also chips away at a population already fragile. Scientists estimate that the Greenland shark is not numerous. It is slow to reproduce, slow to grow, and every individual alive today represents centuries of survival. To lose even one is to erase a lifetime longer than we can comprehend. So here is the paradox. A creature that embodies patience and time itself may not survive the speed of our modern age. While it drifts slowly in the darkness, the ice above it thins, ships multiply, and the seas change in ways that even 400 years of wisdom cannot withstand. The Greenland shark was shaped by a world of ice and silence. Now it swims beneath a world of noise and fire, and for the first time in 4 centuries, its future is uncertain. To see a Greenland shark with your own eyes is to meet a ghost. Most people will never glimpse one in their lifetime. The animal lives too deep, too far north, too hidden beneath the ice. But for a few, the encounter leaves a mark that never fades. Divers tell of swimming in icy fjords, their lights cutting through black water, only to catch the pale shape of a shark gliding out of the gloom. Its eyes, clouded and milky, stare without seeing, a parasite dangling from one socket like a ribbon. Its mouth opens slightly, rows of small worn teeth catching the beam of light. The shark does not rush. It does not flee. It simply drifts, immense and indifferent, as though the diver were nothing more than another current in the sea. Fishermen in Greenland recall the shock of pulling up their nets and finding a giant sprawled among the catch. Its skin, rough and gray, seems older than the ocean itself. Even hauled from the deep, it barely struggles. A creature out of another time, dragged into the blinding brightness of the human world. Some men whisper prayers, some recoil in disgust, and others fall silent, sensing that what they have touched is older than their entire village. In rare moments, cameras have captured them. Grainy footage of a vast shadow gliding beneath Arctic ice sheets, a tail swaying slowly, a body vanishing again into the dark. To watch it is to feel unease, as if the ocean itself had stirred and reminded us how small we truly are. For those who encountered the Greenland shark, there is always the same impression: slowness, stillness, indifference. It does not attack, does not chase, does not threaten. And yet, its presence is heavy, immense, like meeting time itself in the form of flesh. Some divers emerge from the water shaken, others awed. But all agree, the shark is not just another animal. It is an experience, one that feels less like biology and more like standing in the presence of something ancient, something that belongs not to our world, but to the deep eternity beneath the ice. For biologists, the Greenland shark is more than a curiosity. It is a key, one that may unlock the deepest questions we ask about life itself. Why do we age? Why do we die? And is it possible to live longer, healthier lives? When scientists looked into the shark's tissues, they found something astonishing. Its metabolism runs at the pace of glaciers. Cells divide rarely, proteins degrade slowly, repair systems hum quietly for centuries. Where other creatures burn fast and die young, the shark conserves itself, stretching time across 400 years. Its secret may lie in its cold-blooded biology. In freezing water, every chemical reaction slows. Damage to cells builds up less quickly. Its organs rest in a permanent twilight, never rushing, never overworked. The shark itself becomes a living laboratory of longevity. Researchers study its DNA, its proteins, its strange chemistry, searching for patterns. Could its slow heartbeat, its silent metabolism, teach us how to resist aging? Could its ability to endure centuries inspire new medicines for humans? Even its poisons are instructive. The toxins in its flesh, once feared as curses, are now clues to biochemical adaptations that allow survival in extremes. What once staggered dogs and drove sailors into madness may one day teach us about resilience, endurance, and survival under stress. But the shark is not a miracle pill. It is a reminder. Its life strategy comes at a cost. Growing so slowly, breeding only after centuries, it is perilously vulnerable. A species designed for patience does not survive well in a world of speed. Its very biology, the secret to its endurance, makes it fragile in the face of sudden change. And that is the paradox. In the Greenland shark, we see both the promise of life extended and the danger of life erased. It embodies the question we must ask ourselves. Not only how long can life last, but how carefully must we protect it while it does. In the silence beneath Arctic ice, the Greenland shark drifts on. It has no interest in our wars, our empires, our inventions. It has seen them all rise and fall. To it, centuries are seasons, and human history is nothing more than a ripple above the waves. And yet, in its slow heartbeat and pale eyes lies a mirror. It shows us that life can endure beyond imagination, but also that endurance is fragile. For all its centuries, the shark is still at the mercy of nets, of warming seas, of the chaos we create above. Even the immortal is not safe from us. The Greenland shark is not a monster. It is not a legend. It is a lesson. A reminder that time itself is alive, moving through the ocean in the form of flesh and bone. A reminder that patience can outlast power, that silence can outlast speed, and a reminder that what has survived for 400 years can vanish in a single human lifetime if we do not care enough to protect it. Perhaps the true gift of this shark is not its longevity, but its warning. That the world is filled with beings older, stranger, and more resilient than us, and that our survival depends not on conquering them, but on learning from them. So let us remember the Greenland shark not as a ghost beneath the ice, but as a living chronicle of time itself. An eye that has watched the centuries drift by, a body that has carried secrets longer than our nations have stood. And as we look into the dark water, where it still moves, slow and patient, we must ask, will this creature outlive us, as it has outlived those before? Or will we, in our haste, erase what time itself has preserved? The answer depends not on the shark, it depends on us. If this story has moved you, if the thought of a creature living longer than empires, drifting quietly beneath the ice, has stirred something within, then remember, silence is not safety. Even the oldest lives can be lost in an instant. The Greenland shark has endured 4 centuries without our help, but it will not endure the next without our care. Support the protection of Arctic waters. Learn about the species that slip away before we even know their names. Share their stories so they are not forgotten. Because every time we save a life form from vanishing, we are not only protecting an animal, we are protecting a history, a mystery, a piece of time itself. Like, share, and subscribe to keep these hidden stories alive. Together, let's make sure the next generation can still look into the deep and know that somewhere, far below the ice, the immortal shadow of the Greenland shark still moves,